Do you know there's another founder of OpenAI? Are you aware of that? His name's...
Not Greg Brockman.
Greg Brockman.
Yeah, he's well known.
All right. Well, he wasn't well known by me, but Greg Brockman, he had some emails that were released as part of this.
Yeah, it was about a month ago.
A month ago.
Yeah.
I only got around to reading some of his comments.
Wasn't his journaling or something like that?
He journaled. But how
diary?
about, just in case you think, there must be some nice, modest people involved in OpenAI. They can't all be like Sam Altman. Well, it turns out they can all be like him because this was one of his comments from 2017. This is a tech guy. He was what you might have seen.
I think Greg Brockman's a very smart guy.
What's that?
I think he's a very smart guy.
Oh, yeah, he's very smart and not at all motivated by money, which is why one might say financially, what will it take for me to get to $1 billion? So that was his focus with OpenAI. And then he wrote to Elon Musk, I am motivated by public recognition for my own work. That's his motivations. I mean, I know that you kind of jumped on the anti-OpenAI bandwagon before I did.
More
definitely on the anti-Altman bandwagon. Okay, well, it's just going down the toilet, but not for a while. First we'll go
reckon, and we're going to talk about Anthropic
This is not a guy that has covered himself in glory with these emails, right?
I think the part of the irony, we're going to talk about Anthropic's massive raise soon, but OpenAI, it's almost like this. Talk about contrarian. Like you almost can't follow this LLM because as soon as one LLM gets up, the other one starts coming back. And so we had OpenAI was dominant, and then Anthropic came from nowhere, and we'll talk about that this rise shortly. And now OpenAI is starting to come back with Codex, being some people think is a better developer tool than Claude. So you sort of can't write OpenAI off just yet. Obviously, there's real questions on Sam's leadership.
I wrote them off. I've written them off.
Really?
You said you can't write them off? Proved you wrong. Now, I might be wrong, but we spoke about this extensively. I can't believe you're backpedaling. I don't know a bike that can go backwards when you pedal this hard.
And I think
well, you're contrarian on your own views. It's not called self-contrarian.
Have you not heard the meme when facts change, I change my views? I think facts have changed.
What facts have changed?
I think Codex is becoming really competitive. I think Claude's overpriced. I think they're charging too much. That gives a real opportunity for OpenAI to come back in the game.
What's the long-term competitive moat that OpenAI has?
I think it's clear that they erred in going consumer, and obviously Microsoft's the same. But they're course correct. Like Codex isn't a product they're going to release in 3 years. Codex is live now, and it's performing better than the other product. It took a while for people. Business is a bit slow to move, so it took a while for Anthropic to take over, but it can just as easily flip back.
I'm not arguing against that. But I can see you're going into politics because my question was, what is the long-term moat that OpenAI has?
You say for Anthropic though. What's the long-term moat?
I think they've also got some challenges. Yeah. I think you bet on
LLM challenge generally.
Bet on the hyperscalers. They've got it all going for them. Great models, lots of money, hardware as well.
Google does, but the other
Amazon.
They don't have an LLM though.
Amazon make
They're
their own
part
chips.
of Anthropic. They don't have an LLM.
Have their own cloud.
They've got no frontier model though.
Okay, but I think it's going to be a lot easier for them to buy someone when they go broke, when they've already got their own cloud infrastructure and chips.
Well, Anthropic will make $500 million, they say in
I know,
June.
that's going to be a hard one to go broke quickly.
Yeah,
right?
and they're scaling incredibly. And even though their scale drops off, if you look at Anthropic's scale, so I was going to talk about this later, but this is a good time. So 2023, late 2020, so call it early 2024, $100 million ARR.
Which people at the time would have said, oh my God, how the hell did they grow to 100 mil so quickly?
January 20, so a year later, $1 billion ARR, so that's 10x in a year. Mid 2025, so 6 months later, $4 billion ARR, so 4x.
But you could say also growing by selling $1 for significally less than $1.
But now not because they're profitable.
I know, but that was how they were growing.
December 25, which was only 6 months ago, $9 billion. So they're basically 10x, almost 10x 2 years in a row. So from 100 to a billion to call it 10 billion. February, 14 billion ARR, and now 30 billion ARR.
That's actually crazy.
They won't 10x this year, but they probably might 7 or 8x. So that's 10x, 8x, potentially beyond 80 billion ARR and crazy. Quite profitable. That's like this is. We've never seen growth like this in any business in the history of the world.
Well, they might run out of money in the world. You know how
what's the problem?
Well, you know how Elon thinks his TAM is bigger than the world's economy.
28 trillion.
Yeah. So I mean, I think they might have a similar kind of problem.
This is somewhat legitimate in terms of it. But I think these markets are actually so big that Anthropic's proven they get to profitability, and OpenAI I think can get there with Codex. So If you asked me 2 months ago, I was the biggest OpenAI bear there is. I'm now actually I'm contrarian myself here, but I'm far more bullish on OpenAI now than I was a few months ago. And I think they have a chance to get to profitability. I'm not sure about the 1.2 trillion valuation, but in terms of can they get to profitability, I think there's a good likelihood they might.
Well, I'll tell you about that.
They'll cut all the crap, the SOAR and all that stuff they were burning cash on stupidly. They just go Anthropic. I'm going to almost go forget about the consumer shit. I'm going to price it too high. People can't afford it. And I'm just going to focus on enterprise, and they can get to profitability pretty quickly.
Okay, so Anthropic is getting very expensive. OpenAI, you have become more bullish on. I'm not. But to give a feel for the problems that all of these businesses face, Meta, a much bigger, more established business than either of them, although maybe not on revenue soon, but they are. They have to start charging for their core services now, including apparently they're going to start charging for WhatsApp. Because,
highly doubt.
Well, they've said they're going to start adding.
Well, they do have an enterprise layer.
Well, they're going to add paid features like themes,
Yeah, that's
etc.
not charging for WhatsApp. That's adding a subscription tier.
Well, you can say that, and like they made a commitment to never charge for WhatsApp when they bought it.
And they still won't be charging, but you can buy extra stuff that doesn't exist for money. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think it's pretty clear that Meta is going through a period of having to fire staff and charge for products that were previously purely advertising funded to pay for their AI spend.
I completely disagree with that.
Well, you know they're going to charge for using the core platform of Facebook. So they say a whole lot of stuff is going to stay. They are. A whole lot of stuff is going to stay free, but a whole lot of features that, say, people that are advertising on the platform might need, they're going to start charging for those features as well as charging for advertising. And so I think this is all
Facebook
to pay for
Meta's
AI.
firing people because they overhired grossly.
I agree, but
and their AI watching a lot of the firings, like so many.
That's
other
true,
people.
but the AI bill is crazy.
But you can wind back the AI bill. That's choice to build stuff by having token use. Anyway, so I'm much less bearish on OpenAI than I was a few months ago. Like whether it becomes a 1.2 trillion, I think that's unlikely, to be honest, as in the long term. But could it be a $500 billion business? Like if Anthropic's making 500 million now and the way it's scaling, Anthropic could be making 20 billion a year pretty soon.
They could, but it's just hard to know what the long term looks like for these businesses and what the competitive moats look like. Because if you go back to like the dot-com boom, Google, they are dirt cheap back then relative to dirt cheap, like basically zero.
Yeah.
But most of the other businesses that were around at that time in that boom, obviously they didn't survive at all, and some were worth a lot of money. None were generating $20 billion of profits.
Red and Pets, they were quite small businesses. They were like sub $100 million.
All of these major businesses involved in AI today can't survive. I would say 80% of them can't survive. So I think that's the ultimate question here is not, does Firmus get their IPO away? Although you're very excited about that question because it's another
been delayed again.
Another lunch that if I lose, I won't be buying.
I'm buying lunches for months at this rate.
But we're very excited about Firmus getting away or not getting away. But ultimately, in the long run, it's going to be very hard in the next few years to know who's going to survive or not. And I'm generally pretty skeptical about most players in this industry.
I was super skeptical of ChatGPT because I just don't think consumers are going to pay, and they've proven they won't pay, or not $20 a month, but they won't pay. But what OpenAI and Anthropic have become, especially Anthropic, is effectively productivity tools for developers. And there's a great market there. If you can make developers are expensive at $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 if they're working on a hyperscaler. If you can make them 10 to 20% more effective, you can pay $100,000 or $80,000 for that, and it's still ROI positive. So I think there's enough juice there that as purely productivity tools, they make sense. Consumer, forget about it. There's no business there.
Who else? You're bullish on the Neo clouds yet, or still
bearish
bearish on those?
about it.
All right, you're still bearish on
the whole
those
Ponzi
for
scheme, all
another
that
few
shit.
weeks.
That shit's all a Ponzi scheme.
You could not have been more bearish on Sam Altman.
On him, I'm still bearish, but he's just the figurehead now. Like there's 1,000 people who work there.